You step in, and the space abruptly transforms. After the booming throne room, the silence here is different. It's sticky, pulling you to the floor, as if you've entered viscous water. The light is dim, diffused, as if everything is lit from within, yet no source is visible. In the center sits a child. Curled up on the stone floor, face buried in his hands, he isn't crying aloud, but his shoulders tremble as if each breath is a sob. His body is fragile, as if molded from light and dust. Yet, from him emanates a strength, not physical, but a primal, unbearably vibrant power. You want to approach, but something immediately holds you back. Your back grows heavy. It's as if armor descends upon you, cold, cast iron, clanging shut on your shoulders, chest, and legs. Movement becomes impossible. Then a voice rings out, not from outside, but inside your helmet, directly in your head. Resonant, authoritative. The king's voice. Do not approach. He is the cause of our weakness. He made us vulnerable. Because of him, we were beaten. Because of him, we were betrayed. Because of him, we suffered. We locked him here for survival. You understand, this is not an external voice. It is your own internal king. That part of you that for years held power, built walls, wrapped your heart in iron. He does not scream. He asserts. Confidently, coldly, with no room for argument. The child sits silently all this time. He doesn't even lift his head, as if long accustomed to this voice, as if he knows arguing is futile. You try to move your hand. The armor prevents it. With effort, you lift your leg. The metal pulls you down. Joints creak as if clamped by rusty hinges. Leave him, the king says again. Return to the throne. There is order, there is safety. Here is only pain. And at that moment, the child makes a barely perceptible movement. With a finger, he draws a line in the dust. Simple, crooked. But from it, a tiny light suddenly flares like a spark in the dark. With this light, a scent reaches you. So familiar that your heart painfully clenches, the smell of summer rain. The very one from when you first ran barefoot through puddles, thinking of nothing. You flinch. The armor trembles with you. An illusion, the king snarls furiously. A mere fantasy. You know that pain always follows this. Do not dare touch it. But the scent intensifies, and suddenly a memory awakens within you, not an image, but a feeling. Ecstasy, useless, childish ecstasy. And the armor cracks. Barely audibly, but you feel it. The metal is not eternal. You take a step, and it comes with a crunch, as if tearing chains grown into your bones. Your hand reaches forward, but cannot reach. The helmet blocks your vision. Your breath catches. And the king presses. Remember when you trusted and were ridiculed? That was him. Remember when you opened your soul and were betrayed? That was him too. Do you want that again? Each word sounds like a hammer blow from within. It darkens inside the helmet. Your breath stops. It seems another moment, and you'll surrender, leave. But at that moment, the child suddenly laughs. Quietly, as if by accident. Laughs the way only children laugh, at some absurdity, at nothing. And this laughter penetrates the metal better than any blade. Because laughter, senseless, useless, is precisely what makes it unbearable for the king. The armor trembles. You hear a crack. You understand it cannot be defeated by force. It is built on your fear of being weak, and it can only be destroyed by what it has always despised, vulnerability. You inhale deeply and speak, not to the king, but to the child. "I'm sorry." These words come out with difficulty, as if tearing a piece from your chest. But it is precisely these words that break the last fastening. The helmet shatters. The metal clatters deafeningly to the floor. Your body becomes light. The child lifts his head. His eyes are full of tears, but there is no accusation in them, only expectation. You sink to your knees, sit beside him. Not from above, not from a position of power. Beside him, and with your finger you trace his crooked line in the dust. It flares brighter. The world around is illuminated. You smell wet grass after rain. You hear the creak of swings. You feel the coolness of the stone floor with bare feet, for the first time without armor. And the child extends a hand, not for you to save him, but to stand together. You take it, and for the first time in a long time you feel whole. You sit with the child on the stone floor, and at first you think, this is it, the resolution. The armor shattered, laughter broke through the metal, hand in hand, and silence. But after a few breaths you notice something strange. The silence here isn't an end, but the first fragile sound of new music. It's delicate, like a spiderweb at dawn. Any sudden movement, and you'll tear it. The room changes almost imperceptibly. The floor is no longer dead stone. It's warm, with a slight roughness, like old steps in the house where you grew up. In the air, not just light, the smell of wet grass, the sweet trace of warm milk, the quiet clink of a chain on the yard gate, everything mingled and breathing. The child traces a finger through the dust. A path flares, and the whisper of swings rolls along it. You catch yourself smiling, not for anyone, not out of habit, but from within. And then the space tests you. First, a distant hum, as if an old transformer has been switched on behind the wall. Then, a dry click. A narrow crack opens in the wall, and a draft pulls in paper, black ribbons, pale voice notes, urgent, needed, don't fail, no time. They stick to your skin, cheek, throat. The child flinches and reaches to hide, an old habit. You manage to cover his hand with yours. A familiar weight resonates in your chest. The king returns, not as a shadow, not a threat, but as gravity. He no longer hisses. He stands somewhere behind you, like a pillar, and says evenly, if you don't protect him, the world will do it for you again. You look up. On the floor, beside your knees, lie 3 things. You recognize them, though you haven't taken them out. The stone, the mirror, the key. They don't gleam or demand attention. They simply wait, like a craftsman's tools. You set the stone on its edge, in the very center of your chest within, and straighten your back. The flow of papers changes direction, no longer hitting your face, but flowing around you. You lift the mirror and see that of all the ribbons, only 2 are truly yours. Answer honestly and finish what's started. The rest is noise. You insert the key into this moment, into real action. You tear off the sticky ribbon no time, say softly, now is my time. The ribbon crumbles to dust. The child watches, unblinking. Holding his gaze is harder than fending off the ribbons. There are no demands in it, only pure expectation. Purity is always more frightening than a command. You cannot hide within it. You sit beside him on the floor, back to the crack, facing his drawing. Go on, you say, show me. He guides his finger over the glowing dust. Lines leap, break, merge into something indistinct. At first it seems like chaos, a meaningless curve. But if you don't rush and breathe at its tempo, forms emerge. A boat made of cherry bark, a paper kite, a large dog with overly long ears. You suddenly remember your first failures, a kite that never flew, a boat that sank in the first puddle. And with the memory comes a childlike impulse, not to give up, to try again and again and again, because the act of trying itself was joy then. The crack in the wall sends another gust. A heavy card flies in. Don't waste time on nonsense. It sticks to your hand and clenches your fingers. You feel the adult reflex pulling you to remove the childish from your sight. Later. Inside, the king clicks, not ordering, but reminding. Order is not about rejection. Order is about framing. You breathe. Place the stone in your lower back and say aloud, so he, the child, and the world can hear. There will be a place here. Right on the floor, you outline a boundary, a thin, glowing frame around the two of you, like around a blueprint. The frame isn't a wall. It doesn't infuriate like armor. It communicates. This is sacred. The draft changes trajectory. The floating debris catches on the edges of the frame and settles, not intruding. To your left, another crack opens. No longer ribbons, but voices. A low baritone, pull yourself together. A dry alto, be realistic. A thin squeak, it's shameful. They aren't angry, they are rational. Rationality in your life often sounded like a verdict. You lift the mirror, and the voices reflect in it not as threats, but as needs. Behind pull yourself together is the fear of losing support. Behind be realistic is the desire not to be hurt. Behind shameful is the memory of others' laughter. When you see this, you have a choice. Not to destroy the voice, but to respond to it humanely. I have support, you say to the stone. I'll take care of the pain, you say to the child. There's enough shame for a share, you add, and chuckle at your own honesty. The voices subside. The cracks close one by one. The room feels more spacious. The child rises to his knees, and you notice. In his fist lies a small thing. Not a toy, not a jewel, but a handful of that glowing dust. He scatters it between you, and on the floor, right within your frame, a pattern emerges. Not an ornament, but a map. On it are thin lines of paths from different doors to a single point. You recognize the curves, where you gasped at the shadow, where you stood under the rockfall at the Guardian, where you straightened your back in the throne room. All paths converge here in the soft light. And now what? You ask him, though you already feel the answer. He doesn't speak. He takes your hand, turns the palm upward, and draws a small circle on your skin, with invisible ink, but you feel the warmth. This is a sign. Not an oath, not a command, but a reminder. Cherish. Cherish not him from the world, but the world from the habit of swallowing his voice. Cherish the moment, not as a rare celebration, but as an everyday occurrence. You stand up, and the test comes immediately. A quiet wave begins to flood the frame. At first, it seems like the same dark water that flooded the throne room. But no, it's not a swamp, it's tears, your own. They come without dramatic intensity simply because a lot has accumulated in your body. You don't hide them. And suddenly you understand. This is how water stops being a threat, when it's allowed to pass. The frame doesn't dissolve. On the contrary, its light softens, like paper that has absorbed ink. The king approaches closer, for the first time so close that you feel his warmth. He doesn't overshadow the child but stands beside him, like a pillar by the porch. I will hold the boundaries, he says. And I will fill, the child replies, and snorts at his own grandiosity. You laugh. This dialogue sounds within you like a first agreement, not a truce. Your power is reorganizing itself according to your aliveness, your order, according to your play. Not play instead of order, and not order against play, a bond that holds the structure. The light changes to daylight. A doorway opens in the wall, not a door yet, but an opening. Beyond it, you hear the wind rustling somewhere far away, in another part of your world. It doesn't threaten, it calls. The child squeezes your hand. The king places his palm on your shoulder, a comforting weight, like a slab you can stand on. You take the stone, the mirror, the key, not clutched in your fist, but within, core, insight, action. And you take a step toward the opening, the first step no longer for victory, but for life. On the threshold, you look back. The room doesn't disappear, as it used to. It remains, not as a trap, but as a place of strength, where you can return to shift your breathing from your chest to your belly, to remember the smell of rain, to hear the creak of swings not as nostalgia, but as a recalibration. You step out. The light widens. Somewhere ahead, beyond several corridors, you already sense something else. The dry smell of stone, iron, and the silence of a guard. The next guardian awaits, the one who knows the price of loneliness. But for now, you walk not toward him, but with yourself, with the child who laughs without reason again, with the king who doesn't argue, but supports your back, with the trio of tools that have become habits. And the world, which once seemed a corridor of trials, responds differently for the first time, not with a clamor of demands, but with the steady beat of your step. You walk, and your step sounds like a promise, not to lose this voice in the rush, not to entomb it in a schedule, not to turn it into later. Every day, a candle. Every breath, a place. Every gaze, a mirror in which you see not an ideal, but a living being. You walk, and with you he, quiet, restless, luminous. Your formerly suppressed but now accepted part, which knows how to love without cause and therefore fears no darkness. You take a step, and it's as if you plunge into cold water. A moment ago, the room echoed with laughter. The child's drawing glowed, but now everything has vanished. The air becomes dry, the surrounding walls of dark stone, and the silence changes its taste again. It's no longer soft. It's resonant. Every breath you take echoes, like an endless corridor. You walk, and your steps sound as if you are marching alone. But you know, inside you, two are walking. The king, the strict keeper of boundaries. The child, the quiet light warming your heart. And suddenly, a titanic figure emerges ahead. Not a door, not an opening, but gates. Black metal, seared by fire. Etched onto its surface is a word that cuts your eyes and throat. Loneliness. At that moment, a sound comes from beyond the gates. Not a voice, not a step, but a scraping. Slow, monotonous. Stone grinds against steel. Someone is sharpening a blade. You don't need an explanation of what awaits inside. You already understand, this is a fortress. A fortress where lives the one who has always been with you, but hid in the deepest darkness of your blood. The fortress of the lonely warrior.